Welcome. Today we are going to discuss and review the Pilot Fermo. So the Pilot Fermo is another take off of the Pilot Vanishing Point. It is a retractable nib unit. This one retracts, unlike the others, which are a push button, push knock. This is a twistable mechanism. So you twist it, it engages, untwist it, and it disengages. All right, so this is going to be a review of the Fermo, but obviously we're going to be comparing it to its brothers, the original Vanishing Point and the later LS for Luxury and Silent. So the first thing you will notice is that, like I said, this came out. The first one came out in the '60s. This particular Raiden model came out recently, but anyway, this model came out in the '60s. The Fermo came out in 2006, so it was a much later take on this. And if you think about the silentness of it, right, which was what put the LS up and above, this was much more silent. So this was almost like an intermediate step over to the LS. But it's not quite intermediate in that it's a whole different design. So let's look. I chose the Raiden here because it makes the body piece very obvious with the body and the clip versus the matte black. It's not going to be as easy to tell. So I purposely chose this one for the review so that way we could see the body length. So let's go ahead and look over here. So when you line up the tips both line up in the exact same manner. The middle part looks like it's about the same placement as well. And then the body sizes are different though. Look at the back length in this one is a different body size. And then the front, if you look, or the top, however you want to put it, the part where the nib is exposed, it actually has the longest body length out of all of them. So if you look, here's the LS as well. So the body itself is lengthened on the Fermo more so than the other two. While we're here, let's look at the clips. The clips are kind of similar. So they still have the flare right there. I really appreciate that flare because it helps to index your fingers when you are placing them like that. And it's a little bit thinner. So it's a little bit thinner. If you look at the connections on the body though, it's also a little bit smaller. So this one has a little bit more contact than this one. This one is actually on the body, whereas this one is on the nose cap, if you will. The other difference is this clip kind of juts out a little bit, so it makes it a little bit easier, potentially, to get it over larger pants. That's the premise of it, but I find that this one is plenty springy. I don't have any issues getting this in and out of pocket, and typically I actually don't prefer this flared out design because when you pass something, if you're walking past a desk or something, this part that juts out is more likely to scratch something or be scratched, so I actually prefer a clip that's flat like that. But these are noticeable differences in the body and the clip for the Fermo. Let's go ahead and look at the nose as well. So if you notice, the area where the nib protrudes is slightly different for each model here. The LS was there, the Fermo's in the middle, and the Vanishing Point was on the left. Let's get into the mechanism here. So the mechanism, like we said, is a twist. It's very silent. You have increasing resistance up until it feels like you pass a hump, and then once you get over that little hill of resistance, it kind of settles into a nice little valley of peace and engagement. So you have like tactile feedback along the way. When you disengage it, it's the same thing. You just have to give it a little bit of force to overcome that initial resistance, and then it just springs right back. So you can easily do this one-handed. It's easier to engage with two fingers, but you can do it with one. You just need a really long throw. I have kind of large hands, so it's not as big of a deal for me. I didn't think I could do it at first, but after some practice, I was able to. You really have to like roll it and use that side of your thumb to get the extra traction, but you can do it one-handed. So that's a real advantage there. It's really easy to disengage. You just kind of give it a smallest little flick and it flicks back. So it can be operated one-handed. Let's talk about the differences in weight. The standard one was just over an ounce at 1.08 ounces. Okay, so this is actually the lightest. The next one is going to be the Firmo at 1.18 ounces. And then finally we have the heavier cousin, the LS, and that's 1.44 ounces. So the Firmo comes in heavier than the regular Vanishing Point, but still considerably lighter than the LS. So that's kind of where that goes. It's okay for fidgetability. It's just a hair, I don't know, it works, but it's not... Something about it just isn't quite weighted properly for me for the fidgetability factor. Let's look here. I mean, it ostensibly looks like the same length. And the Vanishing Point's very fidgety. I wonder if it's just this little bit of extra weight and the thickness throws it off. I'm not quite sure, but you know, the standard Vanishing Point I can kind of fidget a little bit more easier. And the LS, too, is also decently fidgetable. No issues there. Actually, this one with the extra weight is actually a little bit more fidgety, so that's nice. All right, so let's go under the hood. I'll take these out of the way. So under the hood, we have the exact same system as in all the other brother Vanishing Points or LSs. It's the same exact nib. It's interchangeable. In fact, I took this same medium that I use in mine, and I just threw this in here for the review. I'm using Diamine Holly, by the way. So if you're familiar with how a Vanishing Point writes, this is really no different, all right? So the body and the engagement system, the mech is just a little bit different, but the actual pen itself writes and literally uses the exact same nib systems as this. So they will write identically in that regard. I actually prefer the grip on the Firmo a little bit more. So just due to the body riding up so high, all of your grip is actually on the body. And I kind of like that a little bit more than on the Vanishing Point where some of your grip is up on that cap. I actually really appreciate that extra body component here that keeps me on that body. I don't know, just something about it is a little bit nicer. Now let's do some size comparisons. I've already shown you the Vanishing Point, so we're not going to go back there. Here is a Pilot 743. So the Firmo's definitely thinner than that. Here it is up against a Platinum 3776. So a little bit longer and more stout than the 3776. And the tail end, the cap of the 3776 makes the more stout there. Let's do a Parker. Here we go. This is a Parker 45 TX. So this Parker is thinner than the Firmo. And now we'll do a Retro 51. Conclusions. The Firmo is an interesting adaptation of the Vanishing Point. Instead of a knock and a click system, it uses a twist system, which is silent on the engagement and disengagement. If you turn it slowly, you can make it as silent as you want. If you let it go by spring action, it's a little bit louder. But it's nice that you can control that. The pricing on these comes in surprisingly close to about the standard model. So the pricing isn't really that different. One of the pros, I really enjoy the longer body up here that you can really, your standard grip gets you right up on that body. The mech itself isn't quite as fidgety as the standard, which you can just go to town clicking, but the fact that it's got that spring retention makes, you can do that all day and that's fine too. Not quite as satisfying, but it's still got some fidget factor. You can operate it one-handed, although it's got quite a long throw in order to do that. The return is easy, but the initial engagement has a really long throw, so you really got to use the side of your thumb to really get that extra traction. Overall, this is a nice pen. It is kind of the poor man's LS in a way because it's silent in that regard. So if you can't, this I wish I could get, but at the price 3 times the standard one, this costs about the standard. So this one, you can get the silentness of this in a slightly different package. So that's really cool there. So this is more attainable in that regard. Overall, this is a really cool pen. It's a nice addition. It's not going to replace my Vanishing Point by any measure, but I enjoy the compatibility. I enjoy the longer body. I enjoy the silent twist knock mechanism over here. However, for the money, I'm just going to stick with the standard vanishing point. Personally, but I definitely wouldn't mind adding one of these to the collection if I really, really wanted that silent component there. Thank you guys for sticking with us as always. Thank you for watching this review, and big thank you to Dr. Brownie out there who made this all possible by donating these pens for review. I couldn't have given these unique insights and independent thoughts without your ability to, show me the wonders of the fountain pen world. So thank you very much for that ability. Thank you for donating these pens. I look forward to getting them back to you soon with some extra gifts. And I hope everybody sticks with the channel, and we'll get you more pen reviews and other cool things soon. Thank you.